Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own. Today, I'd like to welcome Benoit Boudreau to the show. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, Benoit.
That sounds beautiful, Brad.
I'd have to describe you as a passionate hunter and a father, not only a father, but a new father. I understand you just had your 3rd child within the last month. So
future hunters.
That's right. Create your own flock kind of thing. You're also a tree specialist. You have a business called Tree Ninja, which, of course, with that heavy wet snow this spring, I'm sure you're still working and cutting up trees for people across central Alberta.
Yeah, no, it's been a very, especially with COVID, a lot of people have been focusing on their yards the past 2 years. And we've been very fortunate to be able to help out a lot of people lately.
Right. And the last describer I'd use is an outdoor educator. I've been following you on social media, but I also met you in the field. That's where I originally met you. I was with some friends. We were on a spring snow goose hunt, and we were carrying our stuff in, and this young fellow pulled up in a car and said, "Hey, I'm Benoit. Would it be possible to join you? I've seen these birds in here," and I asked the rest of the crew we were with, and they didn't want to that day. But you and I have stayed in contact since then, and We've tried to plan hunts. We've tried to get out. We haven't made it happen, but I know it's going to be in our future somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're all hunting the same areas and following the same birds. And I can't wait.
It's funny you say that because we were out this spring. I took my girls out on a spring snow goose hunt. And the landowner, we went and asked for permission. And he said, "Oh, Benoit hunts snow geese here. Do you know Benoit?" How random is that you're out in the middle of nowhere, somewhere east of Edmonton, and you ask a landowner for permission, and they mention a first name only, Benoit, and I knew exactly who it was, and they described you to a T, and they said, "Very polite man, we'd give him permission anytime." So you're obviously doing some stuff right.
Well, the secret is to have your wife bake pies for all the farmers. So
yes, that would help.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, you kind of stand out if you give them a freshly baked pie and made from your wife. And I do little things like that just to try to thank them because they're very generous, right? Like letting you onto their land. There's not a whole lot in it for them. And I'm just always blown away by the generosity of landowners just to let complete strangers onto their land and, to try to bring back some meat for their family. And I always try to do little things I can, giving them gifts to just kind of say thank you.
Yeah, you raise a good point. That would be a whole other show on its own. We are so lucky in Alberta to have the access we do. I'm fortunate I get to hunt across North America, but in most states you have to pay for access, and there is not a lot of public ground, and the public ground there is very crowded. People tie up good waterfowl areas with leases and don't allow others on. So, good old-fashioned knock on the door, get permission, go hunting is a privilege, and we should not overlook the fact that we're very lucky to be able to do that.
No, absolutely. Like Alberta is a hunter's paradise, and especially for waterfowl hunters. And I think so many people take it for granted that, it's so affordable. Like we don't have any excuse. There's like thousands and thousands of birds out there, and landowners who are willing to give you permission, like in the course of like a 2-minute conversation to go out there and hunt them for free. Like that just like you tell Americans that and it just baffles them, right? You're like, are you kidding me? I'm like fighting tooth and nail for permission to hunt like 24 ducks on this little pond here, and they charge me $200 to do it, right? And here we are like hunting, just as far as the eye can see, fields covered in snow geese, right? And it's just a completely different situation. And I think Albertans just should never take that for granted.
No, we're lucky over half the province is public land, plus the conservation organizations in our province from Alberta Conservation, Alberta Fish and Game, Ducks Unlimited, Nature Conservancy own tens of thousands of acres and make them available for hunters to access on foot. So even if you're shy and don't like knocking on a door, there is still plenty of opportunity in Alberta to get out and enjoy some waterfowl hunting, deer hunting, whatever else on those conservation properties.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's actually, there's hidden gems there as well. Depending on what you want to hunt, grouse, rabbits. You can even find elk there, wild boars. I found wild boars on some of those leases as well,
right.
Or sorry, not leases, on some of those zones. But yeah, you just have to get out there. You have to put feet on the ground and just. But there's no excuse. There's just thousands and thousands of places you can go hunt, and you just have to put in the effort to go find it.
Absolutely, and that sort of brings us around to who Benoit is and how you got started. If I know your dad took you out when you were young, but I don't know the whole story if you didn't get out much or you guys didn't get out a lot together, but it wasn't really until you were an adult that you really went after hunting as a passion and wanted to learn more about it and sort of dug in with both feet.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people, they've either had like an uncle or a grandfather or dad take them out hunting. And they got that first experience as a kid, but as you get older, things can change. Sometimes you move away. Like that's what happened to me, right? So I went to a boarding school in BC, and almost my entire teenage years were spent in a different province. So I wasn't able to learn how to hunt in BC. But when I came as an adult, I wanted to learn how to hunt. And that's when I kind of encountered this dilemma, right? It's really hard to learn how to hunt as an adult by yourself without a mentor. Because I moved to a different city once I was finished my boarding school. And I was like looking around. I was trying to find a mentor, right? Because I'm like, it's going to take me years to figure out how to do this on my own. And I know there's people around me having success. What is the secret that they have that I don't have to be able to go out there and just consistently bring back birds for their family, right? How do I find places to hunt? Like, how do I use this duck and goose call properly? And why do I keep missing all my shots? And the list goes on, right? And I'm just like, if only I could find someone who could teach me how to do this. And it was really hard, I really struggled. I tried joining Facebook groups and reaching out to people, but what I quickly realized is there was there wasn't enough people out there, experienced hunters out there who had time to go out and help new hunters, just because there's so many new waterfowl hunters every single year who want to get into it. And now as an experienced hunter, I kind of get it, right? Like my email box, almost every single week, there's someone new asking me to teach them how to hunt, right? And and obviously we only have limited time, and we can't always be teaching people. So I encountered that problem when I was as a young adult trying to figure it out. So I went on YouTube and I was trying to figure it out, watching every single video I could. And a lot of the videos I found, they had some educational aspects to it, but it wouldn't always answer the question I had, or the answers they were giving were not areas that were relevant to me, right? It might be advice that'd be really relevant if I lived in, Arkansas, but for Alberta, what does that look like? What do I need to do that obviously I'm not hunting in flooded timber. How do I call properly to get these prairie ducks to want to center up and land in my decoys and things like that? I kind of had to struggle and figure it out over time. And one of the things we kind of touched on it earlier in our conversation here, but one of the things that really helped me is that I went out there and I spoke to lots of farmers. I figured out where the birds were. I drove around enough in the evening to see where they were feeding in the field. And I just kept knocking door after door, talking to landowners saying, hey, I'm a new hunter. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Do you mind if I hunt on your land? And eventually I talked to this old farmer. He was very ancient, and he had his house was very old. And I knocked on the door and he answered, and I said, look, this is my situation. And this old farmer looked at me, and I think he felt sorry for me, looked over around my shoulder, and he saw that I wasn't driving a very expensive car, and I didn't have a big truck with a cargo trailer or anything like that fancy. And he just said, yeah, you know what, go ahead, you can hunt. I'm totally fine with that. And what I didn't realize when I went back to my car and I opened up my county map in iHunter, this guy owned an insane amount of land. It wasn't just one quarter section. It was he owned thousands and thousands of acres. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to screw this up. This landowner has been very generous to me. I know he has tons of different bird species on his land. I'm going to figure this out. And it took me couple of years, just going out there every single opportunity I could get during hunting season, right? During the fall and then also during the spring snow goose season, and just kept trying and trying, right? I put out my decoys, things wouldn't work out. Okay, I'll change it up. And then I would, and okay, my calling's not very good. Okay, I'm going to keep working on it. And slowly, having this guy's property as like kind of like a playground, an outdoor playground, I learned how to do it. And eventually I started just having consistent success. And I kind of figured, I was like, man, there's probably so many people who get stuck, who want to learn how to waterfowl hunt, but they just didn't have the same opportunity as I did, or the same amount of free time to be able to go out there and to talk to landowners, to get permission to hunt, and to try it out, right? To try out all these different decoy strategies, try out these different calling techniques, to be able to scout different properties and like figure out, okay, this is a good property to hunt, this property is not a good property to hunt. And I realized this is a huge opportunity here, right? Because like every other industry, every other sports industry, there is some sort of coaching, right? There's like for hockey, you want to play hockey, there's hockey coaches, there's hockey camps, right? Where you can go there and over the course of a couple of weeks, they can teach you how to become like twice the hockey player that you are. Same with soccer, same with swimming. But for some reason, for hunting, there is no real coaching, right? There's no real coaching. The only real coaching we have is like kind of one-on-one friends teaching friends how to hunt. And I realized that is a market failure. There's people who are willing to pay, right, to receive individual one-on-one help to learn how to hunt. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the closest thing the hunting industry has? And the closest thing was like actually a hunting guide, right? Hiring someone who can take you on a hunt. But then I realized that like a hunting guide, his job isn't to teach you how to hunt. His job is to help you experience a great hunt on like a couple of days, right? And if he went around teaching everyone all his secrets, and all the great places that he found how to hunt and where you should go and what you should do, that's kind of going beyond of what you've paid him for, right? And he probably won't be in business very long if he's just, encouraging other people just to go out on their own and to figure out how to do their own hunts, right? So I realized there's actually this opportunity within the hunting industry, right? And there's so many people who want to have their livelihoods in the hunting industry, right? But they just haven't really found a way to do it. And I'm like, I think there's an opportunity for another aspect of the hunting industry to exist, and that is hunting coaching or hunting mentorship, where your focus isn't to take them on a good hunt individually. Your idea and your purpose is to try to help them find a good hunt on their own, right? Help them find good places to hunt, help them to understand how they should be scouting, how they should be watching the birds move around, and like what is a roost, what is the feed, and how to predict bird behavior, and like how, and like to be able to listen to them calling, right? So like they do a feed call, and then over Zoom, you listen to them, and then you correct them, and you're like, and with your duck call, you tell them what they should be doing, right? So that one-on-one aspect, I feel like there is a huge need for it, but it just, no one was really offering that yet. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to help. I'm going to try to help people because people want help. There's so many people who want to get into hunting. They just have no one to show them how. So that's what I did.
You raise a lot of good points. Alberta does have a strong education component for hunter education and firearm safety, but you are looking at taking things to the next level. You probably have more questions about hunting than the average person starting out, which gives you an advantage. Harvest Your Own was started to help answer some of those questions. Where do you get started? What kind of shot size do you need? What kind of duck call or goose call do you need? So Harvest Your Own is there to try to get people started, to encourage them, to give them all the information and resources to get started. But Benoit's at a different level. You started with a whole bunch of questions that the average person had never even thought about. So, we can send people to Harvest Your Own and they can get some great information.
This podcast is produced for Harvest Your Own, a program dedicated to those who want to reconnect with food and health through their experiences outdoors. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a resource for individuals to learn more about hunting and the outdoors. There's information to get you started and ensure that your compass stays pointed in the right direction to be successful. Where's your next meal coming from?
You don't know what you don't know, right? And that's the tricky thing, right? When I got into hunting, there were so many things that I wasn't asking the right questions often, right? I was, all right. And like that, the nuances are really important when it comes to hunting. And I feel like an experienced hunter, like just their aspect to be able to like look at a hunt differently really, really can help, right? And Alberta does an excellent job. You know what I mean? Hunter safety. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's some of the best in the world is what you receive here in Alberta. You know what I mean? And also like the resources that you have available, you know what I mean, through the Alberta Conservation Association, you know what I mean, with just free land, you can go hunt, right? Like that's incredible. But like when you're hunting harder species of waterfowl to hunt, like snow geese or, I mean, and also when you're dealing with more competition, right? When you're trying to compete with experienced hunters or even hunting guides who are hunting in similar areas, how do you kind of make sure that you still experience success, right? And that's where I kind of want to help people, right? And that's kind of like the niche that I feel like needed to exist within the hunting industry as a whole.
Right, and that really does take education for waterfowlers to the next level. You know, you made a good point about outfitters. You can go on an outfitted hunt and shoot a pile of birds, but what you miss out on is, what did he see? How many flocks came in? How did he know to set his decoys a certain way? Why are his blinds angled, or why is this going on? You know, there's all those little things that occurred to help you be successful, and in most cases, that's never discussed. So what you're talking about is having an open discussion, open mentorship about why it worked, why you do something with your blinds, why you use a certain amount of decoys, why you put them out in a certain pattern, what pattern is it, what do you do when the wind's blowing harder, you know, all those things that as you get into bird hunting, you find out that it changes regularly. You know, this isn't something that you can just create a recipe for and use it every day. Conditions change, fields change, feed change, the birds change, and you have to be able to be adaptable. But the most important thing is you need to know what is adaptable and how to do it.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And the thing is one thing I did first before I decided to start school to hunt is I went and I bought every single waterfowl book on Amazon, every single one that teaches you how to duck hunt or goose hunt. And I read each one from cover to cover. And I was like, okay, what did I learn from this? What were things that I didn't feel were adequately taught and that like a potential, you know what I mean, new waterfowl hunter might have in the back of his head? And a lot of it's just like these super small questions that make a big difference that if you had a real person who was teaching you how to hunt, you could ask that, right? So that was just one aspect that I really wanted to try to solve, right? Is like, because it makes a big difference, right? And people don't want it to take years to succeed, right? Like that's the tricky part, right? Like a lot of people, this is on their free time. When they go out to hunt, like they like only have like maybe a couple weekends every fall. And they don't want to be spending it like, you know what I mean, just getting skunked every single time, right? Because that can be really frustrating. And I think one of the problems we have right now in the hunting industry is a lot of people try hunting for like 1 year and then they give up because they didn't have success, right? And we have a lot of drop-off hunting participation because people just feel like this is too hard. I don't know what I'm doing. And then they just kind of put it off, right? And then the following year, they're like, you know what I mean? I'd love to do it, but then, you know what I mean? It just like they didn't have a great experience the previous year. So it affects their ability to make that, you know what I mean? Say, yeah, actually this year I also want to do it because I experienced success last year. And I think I can experience even better success this year, right? So if we want to keep hunters' numbers up, I think it benefits everyone to try to help them succeed and give them the tools that they need. There's just so many waterfowl out there, right? Waterfowl numbers are at very high levels right now. And hunting population, like as hunters, like in a lot of states and a lot of provinces, like it keeps going down every single year, right? So we are seeing a shortage of waterfowl hunters and this like surge, like especially with snow geese, right? Like just so many species are at all-time highs right now. And I just think it's just a great opportunity to learn. And if we just give new hunters the resources they need, I just think we can absolutely get our hunting numbers back up to what they used to be like 50 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I don't know if you know this or not, but back in the 80s, we had over 80,000 waterfowl hunters in Alberta. We have about 17,000 today. So it's interesting when I hear people say, oh, there's too many hunters, there's too much competition. I chuckle. You know, there was 80,000 just, back in the 80s, and it was a number of things that changed that. Everything from drought and reduced limits on mallards and the introduction of steel shot from lead. Like there was a whole pile of things that led up to that decline in hunter numbers. But, you know, you're right. People do get frustrated, and snow geese are a good example of that. Most people hate snow geese because they get burned by them often. But then there's people like you and I that, my favorites are probably a well-executed snow goose hunt, because it is by far the most challenging, and it's taken you a lot of time and effort to get there to figure them out. And just when you do think you have them figured out, they're going to, they're going to embarrass you once again and send you home without any feathers. But that's what makes it fun.
Oh yeah, it's a love-hate relationship. You know what I mean? Like and it's so frustrating. You know what I mean? When you get skunked on a hunt, and it happens to the best of us. Like sometimes, you know what I mean? Things disturb them, right? They were all on their roost, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Someone messed up with that roost. You know what I mean? While you were waiting in your field, and the birds are all gone now, or you know what I mean? They all start landing in the field adjacent to you, and now your decoys look pathetic compared to like 10,000 snow geese to the west. You know what I mean? And there's just so many little things that can go on that can really affect, you know what I mean, the hunt.
Yeah, and that happens on a regular basis.
oh, for sure. I would be pulling out my hair if I was a hunting guide, you know what I mean? Because it's just so frustrating trying to hunt those things. And I understand why some outfitters refuse to hunt them. They focus on other species.
Right.
But anyway, in the United States, 50 years ago, there was like 2 million waterfowl hunters. And that's ridiculous, right? Compared to like Canada's numbers, the United States had like an insane amount of waterfowl hunters, and now it's closer to around 1 million.
Right.
And that's scary, actually. That decline of 1 million hunters, despite the fact that the U.S. population has been going up very high lately, right? So it's we actually have to fix that, because the less hunters we have, the less people who are going to actually be supporting our right to hunt, right? And you know what I mean? And it's just a growing trend, you know what I mean? This kind of anti-hunting movement that we're seeing from PETA and from other organizations. And I think as waterfowl hunters, we should wake up, right? If we value waterfowl hunting, we need to recruit more people. And I'm sure, you know what I mean, this is something that you guys are always talking about, but we can quickly lose the right to hunt. And I think we shouldn't take that for granted. And the more people we have with us hunting by our sides, I mean, the stronger our voice is going to be politically.
Right. And we're lucky in Alberta, because we've recognized those things years ago, and Alberta Conservation Association has made it a mandate to try to encourage new hunters to take up the passion, whether it's for waterfowl, upland game birds, deer, or whatever. And that's where Harvest Your Own was born, is to actually provide information and to get new people out into the field and help them be successful on their first go.
This podcast was made possible by Alberta Conservation Association and the Harvest Your Own community. If you're interested in harvesting your own food, there's a comprehensive collection of information to gain insight and knowledge. Head to the field, harvest your own protein, prepare it, and taste the results. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a library of information, from getting started and geared up to processing, butchering, and cooking wild game, to make the connection between health and food.
Let's talk a little bit more about School of the Hunt. This is a big project you've been working on, and it must have taken a significant amount of time to not only learn the information, but to put it down in a usable fashion for other people to use in mentorship. So what we're talking about is Benoit has created a web-based educational course through the School of the Hunt. And you're offering a Waterfowl 101.
Yeah, and one thing that I got a lot of inspiration from Elk 101, which is taught by Corey Jacobson, and down in the States, where he teaches a great course on how you can learn how to elk hunt. And elk hunting's like the snow geese of big game, right? They're very frustrating to hunt. They're very elusive. They taste delicious, and when things go well, like it's just like the best meat there is on the planet, right? But with snow geese and like, you know what I mean, and waterfowl hunting, you know what I mean, I was like, okay, if someone can teach someone a very small percentage of, you know what I mean, the overall hunting industry, which is elk hunting, right? Like I think only 2% of all U.S. hunters actually hunt elk, right? And he succeeded, right? He had only 2% of the hunting population, and he was teaching a course for how to hunt elk. And I'm like, okay, 40% or more of all hunters in the U.S., you know what I mean, and throughout North America are waterfowl hunters, right? So there should absolutely be a course. If there's a course for elk, there should be a course for waterfowl hunting. So that's kind of where I got the idea. I'm like, okay, he's making this work, you know what I mean? And I took his course for elk hunting, and it was very, very helpful. It's basically from A to Z, everything you need to know, right? Everything from what are the rules for elk hunting for every state and province, right, throughout North America. Like what are the ecology of elk that I need to know, right? What is the where do they eat? Where do they sleep? What is their behavior during the rut? And like when is their rut, right? And just like there's so many, like hundreds of questions that go into learning how to elk hunt. And I'm like, there should be something like this for waterfowl hunting. And so that's why I started School to Hunt. And actually, we started off with waterfowl, but we also have an overall vision that's a lot broader, because we want to be able to teach, every single game species over time, right? We want to recruit the best instructors to be able to teach you how to bear hunt, how to hunt white-tailed deer, how to hunt upland game birds, and just basically everything, right? Because they're all a lot of these species are all like very, very difficult to hunt, right? And YouTube is great, but YouTube also there's a lot of it that's like entertainment focused, where you watch it and it's like the purpose of the video is to inspire and entertain you, but not really to show you the how-to, right? And it'd be very hard. Like those videos, the how-to videos would be like an hour long for each like little concept, right? Like how do you explain everything you need to know about scouting, right? And like how do you explain it for like, how do you make a video that's applicable to all throughout North America, right? Because like the way I would scout here in Alberta might be very different than the way I would scout down in Kansas or down in Texas, right? Or like flooded timber situations. And so like I felt like if someone were to be able to create this, right, to create this information that's accessible to people, to be able to go out there and just like have great success in their first year, like that would be very valuable to the hunting industry, and to be able to help these new hunters get into it, and also to stay in the hunting industry, right? So that's kind of the niche that we try to fill. That's kind of where we got our inspiration, was from like just seeing other companies do this for other species, and that's kind of where we started.
Corey Jacobson is a great elk caller. I know him quite well, and he does have it figured out, and he's good at teaching it. But you've done the same thing with waterfowl, and like you said, you're going to take it into other things. Let's just run through some of the modules that you have on the waterfowl course, just to give people insight as to what they could expect if they wanted to try to figure out the game of waterfowl hunting and be more successful this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing all waterfowl hunters should know is to understand the ecology of the prey that they're going to hunt. Like that's the first thing. That's so foundational, because if you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing, it's going to be impossible to predict their behavior on the hunt, right? So that's the first thing. I start off with waterfowl ecology, then I move into scouting. So how do you find these birds? How do you get permission to hunt? How do you know what is going to turn out to be a good hunt or not? You know what I mean? Because just because you found birds doesn't mean it's a good situation for you to hunt them. Then after that, we teach them everything they need to know about decoys, right? All the different types of decoys there are, their advantages and disadvantages, and like what's the most economical way to get started and to spend money on decoys that are actually going to help you have success and not just break your bank account, right?
Oh, that's important.
After that. Oh, that's so important, right? Because you can literally spend tens of thousands of dollars on decoys, right? And then if hunts aren't going well, you're pulling out your hair, right? Because you're like, I've invested so much in this. And so then after decoys, we move on to concealment. So that's kind of like, I think it's one of the most underrated topics in waterfowl hunting, but that is, how do I hide from birds? And that's, especially if you're hunting in fields, that is so important, because often I feel like the number one reason most birds flare or get spooked at the last minute when they're coming into shotgun range and to your spread is because they see you. And I think a lot of waterfowl hunters underestimate how smart a lot of these birds are and the little things they can pick up on. So that we spend a whole module just discussing that and all the little things you should see. And the one thing that I try to do with all our courses is to focus on not just the telling you what to do, but also the showing you. So we went out there, we bought a very powerful drones to fly over the decoy spreads to show you, like, from the air, this is the pattern they should have generally. Because you also want to consider, what are the birds seeing as they're coming into my decoy spread? And a drone has a very powerful way of doing that, because you can replicate the flight that you intend the birds to take. We also went out there and bought shot cameras for our shotguns, so you can see the lead timing. How far ahead of these birds should you be shooting, depending on how far away they are? That's another important concept. We also got very powerful cameras to slow everything down into 4K and also slow motion. So that way, there's a lot of things you can see in slow motion that you miss in real time, right? So we just wanted to show our students everything they possibly could, right? And just to add that extra level of Yes, we're not hunting with you in person, you know what I mean? Like taking you like in the flesh on a hunt, but we're basically filming every single aspect that we think is important for you to pick up on. So those are the first 4 modules. After that, there's another 4 modules that focus more on getting closer for the actual hunt. So module number 5, that's on calling, right? So we spend an entire module just like, how do you talk to ducks? How do you speak to geese? And we just give you the bare essentials like, okay, these are the sounds you need to make. This is what they mean. And this is the appropriate time when you should be using them. After that, we move into just an entire module on shotguns, right? These are the type of shotguns you should buy. Here's the type of ammo that you need. Here's everything you need to know about chokes and all the information relevant to that. Finally, the last 2 modules, one is on strategies. So that's basically, how do you take everything that we've taught in the past 6 modules and then come up with a strategy that's going to kill birds, right? That's really important, right? Kind of that like comprehensive aspect of all these building blocks we've been giving our students, and then they're able to take that and then implement it on an actual hunt, right? So what's the formation of the decoys going to look like, right? What's their plan for retrieving birds? Where's their hide going to be? Where are they going to, you know what I mean? What time of day are they setting up these decoys? What kind of bird behavior are they going to be expecting during the hunt? Where's the roost? Those sort of things, right? And then finally, it's just the last module is called Take 'em, which is just in the heat of the moment, right? When you're in the actual hunt, and you have to make split second decisions. You know what I mean? Okay, the birds are flaring. Why are they flaring? What's some troubleshooting that I can do? I'm missing my shots. What's happening? What am I doing wrong? Like those kind of like troubleshooting aspects that are really important, but they can actually save a hunt, right? Maybe I need to move out my decoys by a couple of yards, right? All my birds are landing short, right? What do I need to do? And things like that. So anyway, yeah, I don't want to make it overwhelming, but yeah, I try to jam pack every single module just to be as comprehensive as possible, just to synthesize everything that I wish I knew when I was first starting to waterfowl hunt. And one thing that I was really aware of is like, we're advertising this to all North Americans. So it's not just Albertans who, we're trying to teach how to waterfowl hunt. It's all North America, right? So what I did is I actually enlisted the help of many respected waterfowl hunters throughout North America. And I paid them to review my course and also to provide feedback to make it more applicable and more universal, to make sure that my language isn't just specific to Albertans, to redneck Albertans, but also to, people who might live in Oregon or, Washington, and just everything like that I say is going to help them, in those different situations. So yeah, that's the goal. And obviously we're constantly refining it. We're constantly adding new modules. Like this fall, we're actually going to be adding more content. We're going to be filming sandhill cranes, trying to add more information about that. And, but yeah, it's a work in progress.
Well, I think it's very comprehensive, and you've taken an interesting approach. It's not just an overwhelming amount of information, but you've also made it entertaining, and you found new ways to get the messages out, and having videos and, even that troubleshooting section is going to be huge for most people, because we've all experienced birds flaring and wondered what was going on and how to fix it and all the rest of it. So entertaining people while they're being educated is important nowadays. That's what almost everybody has come to expect with the different tools that are available today for teachers. So glad to see you have all that stuff on. I even see that you've added some fun to it, and even would you call it advertising or promotion with some TikTok as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I know we've also went on TikTok just because so many potential new young waterfowl hunters are on TikTok, right? And we just have to go where new hunters are going to be, right? And right now they're on TikTok, right? It's insane. Like the majority of users on TikTok is between 10 and 24, right? That's when we should be talking to new waterfowl hunters, right? And just saying like, look, man, this is one of the coolest things ever. You're interested in like Call of Duty and playing video games, but this is way cooler. You know what I mean? You actually get to use a real gun. You get to go out there and you actually get to use your brain, come up with strategies that are going to be successful with your buddies, and you come back and you have delicious food to provide for your family and friends, right? Like that's way better than video games. And we just have to do a better job of communicating that to young people, because it's the truth, right?
Oh, absolutely. And identifying
and TikTok's great.
Identifying that demographic and how to reach them is also very important. That's why I bring it up. Tell us, Benoit, where can people go to find the information? Like, where are you on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, and tell us the coordinates for School of the Hunt.
Absolutely. So School of the Hunt is just basically, you can Google search it, just schoolofthehunt.com. and our website will appear. We're also on Facebook and TikTok, obviously, if you Google School to Hunt. One problem with TikTok is they are quite anti-hunting in their policies. So it's kind of a weekly battle, but yeah, they often take down a lot of hunting videos, and it's a big problem with a lot of other TikTok creators right now. It's just we're trying to fight with TikTok to make sure that our content stays live and active, because it's not, it's not illegal, right? It's definitely legal in the countries that we're sharing it in. But anyway, that's one aspect. And then one last thing I want to mention is we've actually recently added a second program to School to Hunt. Because there was a lot of people who wanted just, that online course, but then we were also getting a lot of feedback of people saying, I also want this one-on-one attention. I want to be able to talk to you. I want you to be able to listen to my calling and to give me live personal feedback on my calling and on my strategies. And I want you to help me find places I can hunt in whatever state or province I happen to live in, right? If you live in Nebraska or wherever, I want help finding places I can hunt. So we actually started a mentorship program in addition to our Waterfowl 101. So it's more expensive, but also you receive that personal feedback and that personal ability to just succeed even faster. We offer two programs. We offer the Waterfowl 101, but we also offer this hunting mentorship program where we just take you under our wing, literally, and show you what to do.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I mean, we've definitely provided lots of information for people that have ever thought about starting waterfowl to get all of the tools and background and education they need to get out there, get started, be successful, and of course cover all the bases. So, great opportunity. It's a great concept, Benoit. I mean, mentoring hunters is something we all want to do, but you and I discussed this. We often run out of time to take everybody that asks. We have regular people we like to hunt with every fall, but I know both you and I take out a lot of new people. It's just a small fraction of them. We can't reach them all. We encourage other hunters to share their knowledge all the time, but in some cases, first-timers don't even know another hunter. So this covers a lot of bases and provides a lot of background for people that want to get started but don't really know where to start.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate this opportunity, Brad. And and absolutely, if there's anyone who's on the fence about learning how to waterfowl hunt, just do it. Just get your feet wet. It's one of the most rewarding hunting experiences out there. It's very special because your chances of success, even as a new waterfowl hunter, you are going to experience some success, right? How you measure that is up to you. But if you go out trying to hunt elk for the first time, your chances of success are relatively low. You know what I mean? But if you want to get your first duck or your first goose this season, that is a feasible goal. You can accomplish that, right? It's just there's a lot more waterfowl out there. They're not as intelligent as elk. And you can get started. And I think that's just the best way. Just don't hesitate. A lot of people who get into hunting, they're like, man, why haven't I got into this sooner? Why did I not I should have been hunting all these past years, right? And that's a lot of the response of these adult hunters, who get into it. But yeah, other than that, I thank you so much for your time, Brad. I really appreciate that and everything you do with Harvest Your Own. And if there's anyone out there who's wanting to get into waterfowl hunting, regardless if you want to take a course or not, I just highly encourage you just to take the plunge this year and to get out there.
Great advice. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your information. And I'm going to try to make a point of getting out with you this fall just to see some of the camera work you're doing and to share some of the fellowship in the field.
That'll be wonderful, and I'm happy to do all the work. I'll do the scouting, and you can blame me if things don't go well.
Oh no, we'll have fun together. We'll go out and do our thing together. And the best day of waterfowl hunting for me is still the days when I get to learn something, and that's pretty much every time I go out. So, looking forward to it. Not many more sleeps, and thanks again for being our guest.
No worries, and thank you, Brad.
We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.